Hey, welcome to the OCR Report Live, talking with Spartan CEO Joe DeSena and Spartan reigning world champion Ryan Atkins. Welcome, guys.
What's up?
Thanks. Yeah, good to see you.
Hey, guys, we wanted to get together to talk about big changes for 2023 that we talked about. One second. The No More Burpees and the Spartan 3K race next year. Joe DeSena, you are the CEO of Spartan. Tell me about those two changes.
Yeah, I'm not happy about them. I don't know how Ryan feels, but when I started this thing, the idea was more hard, more challenging, more discipline, more commitment, and so it's been a fight internally, externally, board members, investors. It's just a constant fight, a constant grind every day to, well, just make stuff easier, get rid of the burpees, get rid of this, get rid of that. So I don't know. It's very inspiring for me when I see Ryan, Lindsay, and all the other amazing athletes push through. What are your thoughts, Ryan?
Yeah, I think there's like two subjects, like Will said, to be kind of talked about here. And yeah, I think they do kind of root around making things easier. And to me, that's always been against like the spirit of Spartan and of like what we love about the sport and just how it feels out there. I think there's something unique and that really connects the community to each other when you go through these hard endeavors together. And I think moving away from that just kind of like just feels different or wrong to me.
I'm thinking this is going to sound great, absolutely crazy, and take it with a grain of salt. But like, what if we move the burpees over to Tough Mudder?
Yeah.
So
I actually kind of love that.
Okay, so I got into OCR from the Tough Mudder side. I came to the Spartan side later. I feel pretty plugged into the Tough Mudder community, and I'm pretty sure they would lose their minds. Almost in the same. Walk me through it, Joe. What would burpees at Tough Mudder look like?
Well, all of a sudden you'd have to be accountable to your obstacles. You wouldn't be able to skip an obstacle, right? If you failed it, you'd have to do burpees. I mean, it's just like I said, it's just been a tremendous fight. And whenever I'm not paying attention, the team over here tries to unplug something. So and then I got to do a head check, right? I got to check my own head and say, well, am I just being old-fashioned or whatever? So refreshing to hear that, Ryan is on my side. I wonder how the other elites feel.
Ryan, you're in a unique position.
Like to me.
No, go ahead. You're an elite in both Tough Mudder and Spartan. Like you every time they hold the race, World's Toughest Mudder, Spartan has to pay you a royalty because you own that race. What do you think about the crossover
there? To be honest, like I think that there is more and more crossover between the two events, and I think that they don't have to be kind of at ends with each other. I think traditionally, or like what Tough Mudder has kind of evolved into, is more of a team-based kind of camaraderie event, and I think Spartan has always been kind of at the other end of like being a more competitive, more of a challenge. But I think, like as Joe says, as things within Spartan have become more watered down and easier, that gap has kind of shrunk, and now the events are becoming more similar. I think the obstacles are still different, but yeah, I think that there's a lot of crossover there, and I think that like it'd be really cool to have Tough Mudder participants try Spartan and vice versa.
What if the barbed wire, for example, at Spartan, what if we electrified it? Is that a crazy idea?
Tough Mudder's done that. They have an obstacle like that. It's not exactly like that, but it's you're crawling under barbed wire, and it's if you get up too high, you'll get pushed down pretty quick.
Yeah, so maybe there's an opportunity to move some of the stuff back and forth, but certainly one of them should be like nearly impossible to finish for the average person. And having those 30 burpees in there makes it so, right, Ryan, for the average person.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
those
I think
burpees.
that. Well, the other thing that I wanted to say is like I think that for me, for the elite side of racing, I don't see like burpees as really like a problem with the way the races are now. I just think that the way the racing has kind of evolved is that 30 burpees seems like too much of a penalty, especially for shorter races, because it kind of like the racing has become so tight that if you fail an obstacle, 30 burpees basically takes you out of it can take you out of the race because it takes 2 minutes to complete. So like I like burpees as a penalty. I think they're cool. I think it like switches um penalty loops. It's just more running. So it like switches that like requirement to like a more strength requirement, which I really enjoy. But I do think that maybe 15 burpees or something like that would be like just a better. I think it would make better racing because then you're only losing like a minute or maybe less, and then you can like keep the racing going. So maybe it's not like the fact that it's the burpee. I just think like the number, um, it's a lot. 30 burpees, you're already doing like a race, and then you have to spend. If you're like someone who's doing the open and they get to an obstacle, they can't do it, they fail, and then they have to do 30 burpees. It's just like a really big, it's a really big penalty. And so maybe if it was 10 or 15 people would like to like do the penalty. Because I know that in the open waves there are a lot of people who like well and they just drop it. So like that's another point.
You see
I feel
how
like we're talking about two different things with the burpees, though. Like what the number of burpees for Spartan
Yeah.
and burpees versus penalty loops is one conversation. But Joe, bringing burpees into Tough Mudder, Tough Mudder's always been teamwork and camaraderie, whereas Spartan's been more like you'll know at the finish line. Do you have it in you? Tough Mudder's always been more like come with your friends, do it as a team. Spartan's been more like individualized, everyone gets timed. This would be a pretty huge culture shift in bringing arguably the hardest or the least liked part of Spartan racing over to the Tough Mudder side.
Yeah, but who knows? I mean, the Tough Mudder audience may embrace it. You know, I think. Look, I mean, you just heard it in Ryan's voice. We can't help ourselves as human beings. We're always like, even though Ryan wants the burpees, he's saying, well, let's make them 15 instead of 30, right? Like you can't help yourself. Like everybody wants the cookie. Even the toughest guy on the planet wants the cookie. So I, I, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out the Tough Mudder audience, they've been used to getting electrocuted for 12 years. Maybe they like the burpees.
Well, we were before we got online today. We were talking, Joe. You're going to be at World's Toughest Mudder this weekend. We could literally, I'll be there also. We could literally go around and just ask people, "Hey, next year, what do you think?" Because that is your Tough Mudder raving fans. That's your Tough Mudder audience this weekend. You're going to be walking among them. They will,
I got
and they'll tell you.
I got a better idea. Why
Okay.
don't we add burpees to World's Toughest Mudder this weekend?
The only reason among other reasons, if we do that, I think they're gonna blame me for it because we're talking live on YouTube right now, a week before World Toughest.
Are you competing in it?
No, I won't be going this year.
How do you feel? I mean, what if last minute I just added burpees?
Yeah. I think for the penalty, like the obstacles that have that, because a lot of the obstacles are mandatory completion, but then some of them are like, pass fail and they have penalty loops. So I think if those penalty loops, even if you did it for maybe not all of them, but maybe if you did it for like 3 or 4 of the obstacles as like a trial, that instead of doing a penalty loop or a carry, people did burpees, that it'd be a pretty cool, like soft launch, I guess.
Yeah, I say, well, Why don't the three of us look into it? I'm gonna hit David Watson's sleeping right now. He's in Singapore, but I'm gonna push hard for this. I think I don't want, and the audience should react. Let's see how the audience reacts to this. This live show right now. And granted, everybody's gonna be like kicking and screaming. It's too hard. But afterwards, I think they'll be happy they did it.
It might be too late to add them. It's World's Toughest is 5 days away.
It's pretty easy to add burpees. It's not like we have to build anything. It's pretty easy to do.
Cool. Well, I'm totally down for that.
Okay. We were talking about no more burpees, not adding burpees. We're coming the other direction now.
Well, Ryan agrees with me. We have to have burpees. He doesn't necessarily agree on 30, at least for the elites. The guy, if anybody has an opinion that's worth listening to, Ryan is saying it's okay to put burpees at World's Toughest Mudder. So I like it.
All right, I'm going to give out my cell phone. People can text me, 619-485-2726. Just text yes or no, burpees for World's Toughest. I would covet your opinion. Okay, let's put a pin in this.
Play it through for a second, Will. Let's just say, Will, that 1,000 people text you, and you come back to Ryan and I, and you're like, listen, everybody says no burpees. Like, what did you expect? Everybody wants ice cream. Everybody wants to hit the snooze button. Of course they're going to say no burpees.
There is a conversation that happens at World's Toughest Mudder every single year that they made it too tough this year. It's too tough. These obstacles, the penalty this or the course that. And the standard response is it's called World's Toughest Mudder. That's the whole point. If it was not tough, you would feel it's $500 basically to run. It's an expensive race, one of the most expensive races of the year. And if you signed up and you got your gear and you got your wetsuit, you did the training, and you show up and it was easy, you would feel robbed. It's supposed to be tough.
Yeah. So I think listen, I think we're close to a decision on this. So why don't you get out? Let's see how they text you. Ryan, you digest it. Text me if you think maybe I'm sorry I caught you guys off guard, but yeah, my instinct.
Let me ask you another.
More burpees.
Let me ask you another question. There is at World's Toughest Mudder. There's two big groups. There's the contender group and the open group. And there's generally 90% of the race is exactly the same for them. But there's a few more requirements or a few fun things that the contenders are not allowed to do. If you need to be a contender to qualify for prize money. So the people that are not contenders are able to do some more fun stuff or some not as hard stuff a couple times on the course. What if the burpees were like a contender category instead of just the open category, instead of the whole thing?
Again, you're leaning towards easier. It happens. The number one motivator for human being is to avoid discomfort. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is a community-based event, and so that like segregating the elites or the contenders from the non-contenders, I think it's like a really cool idea and experiment, and so like I think everyone should do it.
Everybody should do the burpees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. What's going on with your hair, by the way?
I don't know. Just, it's training time, so there's, no time to cut the hair. You just let it do whatever it wants and then get ready for races.
Okay, we got a question from the community. Have you thought about making a separate weighted obstacle like the Atlas be the penalty versus burpees?
Well, I mean, there have been, like at Tough Mudder, there's like they've had carries as the penalties, and I don't know if those had like a male and female weight. I think they did at years before. So I mean, it's been done and it's worked well. But I mean, the great thing about burpees is it's kind of neutralized. Like it's not like you have to have different weights. Like it's just your own body weight. So it's whatever you got.
Yeah.
Okay, let's put a pin in Tough Mudder burpees for a minute. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
The king has spoken. Ryan, if Ryan was saying, look, the burpees are too hard, let's lower the ropes, let's raise the barbed wire, we would listen. This guy's an animal. Maybe you even want to. Is Lindsay around? Can you ask Lindsay quick?
She's
She's
not
not
here.
around. No. So I would just say we go with it. I mean, just for the hell of it, Will, ping both of us. Let us know what happens on your text. But
Sure.
but I say we go with it.
All right. I will. So if you want to weigh in, if you want Joe to know what you think about burpees, at World's Toughest Mudder, 619-485-2726. I will pass on all comments. Hey, before we go, also next year is the Spartan 3K race format. Ryan, what are your thoughts on that 3K format?
Well, I mean, I don't know if we have enough time to really go through all my thoughts on this, but basically, I really like the idea of doing like a lapped course because, again, it introduces more obstacles per mile. And I think that that's a good thing. It means less build for the crew, and it could make for a lot more exciting racing. The things that I don't like about it are the fact that it's only a 3K, the fact that there's like these weird 1K qualifiers. And then the other thing I don't like about it is the fact that it's like coming out and basically replacing the whole elite series, kind of like it seems to me like on a bit of a whim. So like I always thought that it would be cool to have like a short format race on maybe Friday and then do the long format race on Sunday. So you have both races. So then you're going to have athletes who excel at one or the other, but both events count towards the series. And both events, and if that means splitting the prize money between the Friday and the Sunday race or whatever. But I just think that the racing would be a lot cooler that way. And I do think that like maybe more like a 5K for the short course would be better. 3 1 mile laps, 15 obstacles per lap. Like it'd be super intense racing, but it would still be like hard and like it would still kind of feel more like a Spartan. I think that going to a 3K or 1K qualifiers, it just feels too ninja and too just too contrary to the belief system that Spartan has built over the years.
It feels a little like a horse race,
Mm-hmm.
right? One lap around. Yeah, I get it. Well, it sounds like David should never go to sleep again because while he's sleeping, we're rebuilding everything. I like it.
Maybe we move
Um,
the old longer races back over to Tough Mudder next year.
I like that. I like that. I mean, I love watching folks race the Ultra Beast. They forget their name. They don't know what day it is. They're shivering. Um, I I love it. So I agree with you, Ryan. Um,
I think
Look, David's an F1 guy. Like, yeah, I'm gonna talk to David tonight.
part of the
All
thought
right.
behind it is making it for television. It's got to be faster, better TV. And as much as we love the longer 24-hour races or the ultras, they're not as good for TV. It's just kind of the way it is.
Yeah.
Very hard to
There's
fit.
Yeah.
not.
Very hard. Yeah.
I think what's
Yeah,
really confusing me about this whole step forward, um, and the way that it's been executed is just that there hasn't been any like hard launches of test events of this format. It's basically gone and just replaced what we've been doing for 10 or 12 years. And to me, I think it's just a massive unknown. Like there's a chance that they introduce this 3K format and it's great and everybody loves it and the viewership is way up and all these sponsors come in and it's wonderful. But there's also, to me, a very real chance that they introduce it and it alienates the current customer base and it doesn't bring in the sponsors and the viewership like certain people are expecting. And so I always thought that if Spartan was going to do something like this, they would hold, one or two events with all the top athletes, with the full production, put the videos out and see how many eyeballs it gets, how much excitement it gets, how much sponsors actually want to stand behind this product. So for me to just watch them replace the whole series kind of without really consulting the community, it just seems very like knee jerk reaction. like, and that's why I thought like doing a Friday Sunday race could be really cool. And that's actually what they do in mountain biking. They have short track on Friday, and then they have the long course XC. The Olympic race is on Sunday. And what they've actually found is like people are equally interested in both, and all the people who like actually really enjoy mountain biking, they actually prefer watching the longer format race, and it's like got more hype and it's got more weight to it than the 20-minute all out crazy race. So I think that like it's conceivable that it's not the length of the race, it's more the format and how they show it, which is like holding back the sport in terms of viewership and promotional ability.
I love that. I love that insight. Can you envision a world where if we did that on Friday and Sunday, you don't have to move the obstacles and rebuild the course completely?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tough Mudder did something
All right,
real similar for TMX for that. Like TMX was built on a 1 mile course, but it was a regular. That was like on Friday. It was a regular Tough Mudder on Saturday that just added running between the obstacles.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to email you and David. Will, you're awesome. I am so psyched that you and Ryan have decided to add burpees to World's Toughest Mudder. I would have never thought of it without you guys. So let's do it.
All right,
Yeah,
you can sign up for World's Toughest Mudder.
I think what Will said earlier, which like he kind of said a little just offhand, but it was something along the lines of like how people sign up to Toughest Mudder because they want, it's called World's Toughest Mudder for a reason. They want a challenge. They want something hard. I think that same logic and argument can and should be extended to all of Spartan and Tough Mudder. Like people are signing up for a Spartan because they want a challenge. They're not signing up for it because they want to breeze through and have a beer at the finish line. And I think that that is such like, to me, that seems like it's becoming more contrary to the direction that some of the Spartan, employees are pushing the sport with, making the obstacles easier, making the courses shorter, getting rid of penalties, things like that. And so I think that it's very contrarian to what and how Spartan has always been.
Last thing you want to do is have a call with me like this because I'll go to the drawing board tonight and everything will change. We'll have 50 milers everywhere.
I think there needs to be, I think there can be a middle ground where the races are still hard, but they're still but they're more enjoyable to watch. And I think that, I don't think that's a 50 miler, but I don't think it's a 3K. And I think that there is, like, to me, the perfect distance, if we had to have one race, it would be like 15 kilometers. It's like just long enough that you're still working. You can still get out, get some big climbs in, get some big descents, but it's only an hour and a half, an hour 20, maybe an hour 40 race. So you can still push the whole time, a lot harder than you can in the beast. And I think if there was one format for the elites to do, that would be it. 15, 16K, 10 miles, some hills. And for me, it would be a looped course with, maybe 3 laps or 5 laps. So you're hitting 10 or 15 obstacles per lap. Like people would be totally blown out. 1 or 2 heavy carries per laps. I think that'd be awesome. Cool racing. And then you could just have all the open people and all the age groupers just do longer loops up the beast afterwards.
I like it. I got to jump, guys. I'm careful what you wish for, everybody out there. You can thank Ryan for the changes coming. I'll see you guys.
All right.
Thanks for jumping on. So good to talk to you.
Joe. We'll say goodbye to Joe. Quick reminder, 619-485-2726. Ryan Atkins, you can get him at Knox Coaching, Nox. You can sign up for World's Toughest Mudder this weekend at toughmudder.com. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
See ya.
Bye.